Okay, so this might sound a bit dramatic to you, but among all the years I've lived on this planet, the year 2023 is the most distinctive of all in my memory. It was the last semester of college. I remember I had an intense, inexplicable stream of inspiration that I'd never experienced before. And now that I look back, I can only name one simple system that I held up during that time, a routine that I had to build purely because of the circumstances I was in. See, back in college, I used to go on a lot of walks every day, and that's because our dorm was near to the college building, and at the end of each class, I had to walk back to my dorm, and then for the next class, I had to walk again back to the college building. Walking was becoming the most productive source of inspiration without me even knowing it. It was granting me the uninterrupted time to think. On each walk, I would find my mind generating a lengthy chain of fresh ideas, to a point that I couldn't wait to get back to my dorm and write an extended essay around them, or to bring them to life if they were of practical values. And afraid of forgetting these precious ideas, I would always carry a little notebook and a fountain pen with me, and when the idea was of high stake, I would immediately stop moving and write a brief snippet of my thoughts right there, and then carry on with the rest of my walks until the next light bulb would go off. And when I say ideas, I don't mean something like $1 million business idea or a smart strategy I can implement to maximize my profit at a job or business, although those might have been the side product of my thoughts, but no, these ideas were the product of my genuine curiosity with no strings attached to it. It was springing out of a strong desire for accruing knowledge, an intense yearning for learning about myself and the world I live in. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I was not at all inspired by building something tangible like a useful business. In fact, that year was when I initiated my first business because I saw taking on the hard endeavor of building a business as a catalyzer for growth and increasing my self-awareness. But that's another idea for another video. So in the year of 2023, I was experiencing an extreme surge of inspiration. And if you ever felt inspired yourself, you know that it's not something that you do, it's something that happens to you. For me, it felt like my consciousness was connected to the natural, intelligent flow of the universe. And when I tried to share these ideas with my friends, with a surprise on their face, they would say I'm very smart or I'm naturally creative, and they would never be able to come up with these ideas themselves. But the truth is, that's not what it was. I was not smarter, but simply more inspired than anybody else. Because think about it, IQ is a metric that doesn't change that drastically from one year to another, or from one day to the next for that matter. And based on that, how can you justify a few months in the year after that when I felt like everything bored me and I simply didn't have any desire to create much of anything? My mind was bearing no interesting ideas and I felt so utterly empty, without the tiniest shred of the uplifting sense of innovation that I had experienced the year prior to that. Now, I'm not going to such length to prove my IQ was not that high. No. What I am trying to prove here is that having a mind bursting with ideas is not the product of high IQ, but a high dose of inspiration. Inspiration will turn an ordinary mind into a factory of brilliant ideas. Just because Charles Dickens created a rich tapestry of literature doesn't mean he was fallen from the heavens with a highly capable brain. See, what we fail to understand is that genius is the result of both high intelligence and high level of care, wonder, appreciation for the beauty and mystery of the world. Inspiration comes after appreciation, after falling in love with that which you're inspired by. Without having the enthusiasm, the passion, the love for the field, you'll never find any worthy ideas in your head around that field. You will be struggling to even keep yourself in the field, because what the heck good are you if you have no novel ideas to offer? And how the heck would you even be able to keep yourself interested in the field if you don't have a deep connection to it? If you don't already feel like you can bring about a massive change with all the novel ideas you're holding in your head? So before we try to force ourselves into doing anything, we have to shift our mindset and see it from another perspective. We need to first appreciate it, and the only way we will be able to appreciate anything is by paying close attention to it and observing it deeply. So we've been throwing the word inspiration around without actually getting to the literal meaning of it. To understand a little bit better what the word means and and how we can access it, let's first delve into its origin. After a little bit of digging, I figured that the word comes from the Latin root inspiratio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, it's not my native language. And it's derived from the verb inspirare, which, if we were to separate them, in means into, spirare means to breathe. And to put them together, it means to breathe into. And if you notice, it has the same root as the word respiration in English. Its original meaning referred to a divine force breathing knowledge or creativity into a person or an idea. So at its core, to be inspired means to be breathed into. It's subjecting yourself to the idea and being deeply shaken by it. And while I was researching about the inspiration and what history's greatest thinkers thought of it, I came across an intriguing passage by Carl Jung that captures the essence of it perfectly. He said, "Every creative person is a duality or a synthesis of contradictory aptitudes. On the one side, he is a human being with a personal life, while on the other side, he is an impersonal creative process. Art is a kind of innate drive that seizes a human being and makes him its instrument. The artist is not a person endowed with free will who seeks his own ends, but one who allows art to realize its purpose through him. As a human being, he may have moods and a will and personal aims, but as an artist, he is man in a higher sense. He is a collective man, one who carries and shapes the unconscious psychic life of mankind." And in another passage, he said, "Whenever the creative force predominates, human life is ruled and molded by the unconscious against the active will, and the conscious ego is swept along on a subterranean current behind nothing more than a helpless observer." So it's apparent that you can't simply get inspired by forcing yourself to think creatively, but rather positioning yourself properly in the right place to let the air of creativity get breathed into you, to render your mind a vast ocean of ideas by positioning yourself under the ripened cloud. So now that we've gotten a rough grasp of what inspiration is, I'm gonna tell you why I decided to make this video in the first place. See, for the past couple of weeks, I've been feeling a bit uninspired. I've been feeling like there's something missing in my life, and I don't have the same spark as before. So I've been on a quest to find ways to get myself back on track and be a lot more excited about things that I do. And through this investigation, I figured that there are multiple bad habits that I've been giving into that has been eroding my sense of excitement and creativity. And I'll be listing them out right here because I know that the majority of us fall into these traps without us knowing it. The first thing I noticed I've been letting slip into my life was being around people that are boring, complacent, and not excited about life at all. People that do not share the same value as me, and it's just that their energy is going to eventually seep into your soul, and trust me, you're not going to be able to notice it, nor can you even help the process. It all happens subconsciously and super subtly, and my tip would be, even if you are around people that are not aligned with your values and your goals, you can always choose to be alone because it's so much better than socializing with people that slowly eat away at your ambition. But you can still find your own people on internet to connect with. Join communities that have the same values and goals as you have, and you'll find your ambition growing every single day because now you're associating yourself with people that have that specific goal that you want to achieve. And that's how you get nearer to your goals, by being around people that have the same goal as you have. The second vice that I figured that I was latching onto was consuming a lot and overloading my brain with information and not getting to create as much as I need to, not getting to use my imagination as much, and that's when your creative muscle is going to atrophy and you're not going to get as much inspiration anymore because you're not actually working the muscle so that it grows and it gives you another boost of energy to lift heavier. And this is so prevalent in this age of information overload because everybody is consuming a ton and not creating as much, which should change because you can learn, but at the same time you need to create something alongside of it. You can start by learning a little bit as much as you need to take the next step. Don't learn more than that and then create something out of it, and then learn a little bit and then create, and so on and on. That's how you're going to maximize your understanding and retention. Number 3 is worrying too much, holding onto so much fear and not trusting the process because you want to control everything. When you let go, you find so much free space in your head that inspiration is going to inevitably find its way to you. So manage your fears because you might be unaware of how much potential for new ideas you're wasting on things that are outside of your control and you could just spare them. Number 4 is having too many focuses, not being focused on one single task and having your attention being divided between too many goals that you don't know which direction to take anymore. Your mind will be confused, and when you're on your break, if you have just one focus, your mind would be working in the background and going deeper into it. But if you had multiple things going on, you're probably not gonna get as many aha moments because your mind doesn't know which cake to munch on. This lack of deep attention also happens when you're constantly on your phone and checking your socials all the time, because then you're not in that deep state of flow, and you know that inspiration comes after appreciation, and appreciation comes from deep attention. So if you don't have the deep attention component, the rest of the pyramid is going to eventually fall down and inspiration would become officially non-existent. Number 5 is that at some point I stopped challenging myself and pushing myself into new territories and not prioritizing learning at least one new thing every single day. Because I remember when I was in college, and I told you this story in the beginning of this video, that I felt so inspired, and now that I reflect deeper on it, it was more than just giving myself the uninterrupted time to create and to write and to think about things. It was also the combination of delving into new things every single day and being on the quest to expand my horizon. So the stark example of that would be the fact that I was super into art back then, and I would be filling out my sketchbook every single day, at least like one page a day, just because I loved the idea of visualizing the new and novel ideas that came to my mind. And that was such an inspiring hobby that I held on to back in college. And I'm now thinking maybe that's another thing I need to sneak into my routine, because I remember I had such a huge surge of ideas whenever I put the pen to the paper, and it didn't matter if it was random sketching or it was just me putting down the words, just journaling. The action of moving your pen on the paper creates this effect that keeps your mind generating new ideas. Next on the list is not being present with the work you're doing, relying too much on the future reward rather than the intrinsic joy the process can give you if you settle down in the now. One of the benefits of becoming present-oriented is enhancing your ability to pay deep attention to the work. And you know that the foundation of inspiration is deep attention. Another impact this mindset can have is the element of spontaneity. Having a degree of unpredictability in every moment can accelerate the generation of new ideas, because you let the flow of the present moment carry you over and you're not being rigid and all controlling. You allow the ideas come to you by being open and receptive to them. Number 7 is not reading great books. The reason reading can help us get inspired is because our brain is a mimicking machine. If you're reading and consuming interesting ideas, in a way you're training your mind to think the same. Your brain will continue that stream and style of thinking even after you stop reading. Another culprit that might be diluting your inspiration is losing touch on your why. You've lost sight of the exciting vision for the kind of work you'd like to bring to existence. Again, this is also tied to the power of appreciation. For example, an artist that comes across a great style of painting and fall in love with it and is able to deeply appreciate it is going to eventually create great works himself. Number 9 is being distracted by external validation. And when you don't get the validation, you're going to cast the illusion of not doing such a great job. You're going to think you're not making progress, which is the number one destroyer of inspiration. Instead, turn your attention to the internal joy you receive when you do the work. And if you enjoy the work, the external validation is inevitable. People that are into it will finally find you, not the other way around. And the last and most important one is the lack of action. Because thinking and idea generation is much more naturally done when you're in the flow of things, when the entirety of your senses are engaged, and that's only possible through action. That's why walking, this forward motion, can create a unique cognitive effect that leads to generation of ideas. This sense of urgency and spontaneity that accompanies actions can push your mind into creating. And the best thinking is always done without awareness. Like the great poet said, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim. And this reminds me of something that Steve Jobs said at some point. I'll just be playing the clip here.
The doers are the major thinkers. The people that really create the things that change this industry are both the thinker-doer in one person. And if we really go back and we examine, did Leonardo have a guy off to the side that was thinking 5 years out in the future what he would paint or the technology he would use to paint it? Of course not. Leonardo was the artist, but he also mixed all his own paints. He also was a fairly good chemist, knew about pigments, knew about human anatomy, and combining all of those skills together, the art and the science, the thinking and the doing, was what resulted in the exceptional result. And there is no difference in our industry. The people that have really made the contributions have been the thinkers and the doers. And a lot of people, of course, it's very easy to take credit for the thinking. The doing is more concrete, but it's very easy for somebody to say, oh, I thought of this 3 years ago. But usually when you dig a little deeper, you find that the people that really did it were also the people that really worked through the hard intellectual problems as well.
And that is it for this video. I hope this was useful, and let me know if you have any disagreement with any point that I made or you want to add something to it. Feel free to comment on this video, and thank you for watching. I hope that I can see you in the next video. Have a nice week.